Hi, my name's Kate Fitzpatrick. I'm one of the programmers here at MIF, and we're very delighted to have the world premiere of Paper Champions as part of the program this year. I'm thrilled to be joined today by the film team, Luke and Erin Saliba, and director Jo-Anne Brechin. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
I believe this film started as a short film, a very sweet short film from 2017. Can you talk about the process of making this into a feature?
Yeah, well, we did the short film in, was it 2017? Yeah, and it kind of came from an idea of sort of like a character that I wanted to play as an actor. So I kind of wrote a script about this guy called Ray who has a friend called Wade. And I tried to create a world within 15 minutes of the short film. And then, we went out to the film festivals, did a bit of a festival run. And then after that, like a lot of the feedback was that people really enjoyed the characters and kind of the world that Ray was in. So that, I guess, led to us to develop it into a feature film where we could explore the relationship between Ray and Wade more and all the wacky characters within Ray's world. And then, yeah, it kind of like snowballed quicker than we expected. And we never intended to make it so quickly, but we kind of just went for it, and things fell in place. And Erin and I kind of, I guess, built a lot of relationships early on, and yeah, developed into Paper Champions.
Fantastic. And what about you, Joanne? What brought you to the project?
Oh, so Luke and Erin, I think they had seen my first feature, Zelos, and just emailed me. It must have been just before Chrissy. And they emailed me this script, and I was about to jump on a plane to Samoa for the Chrissy holidays, and I took it with me. So I was reading it on the beach in Samoa with all these amazing island characters and just all that comedy and sort of surrounded by it at the same time. And I just had to jump on board. So I think you guys maybe reached out in December, and by January we were just like full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Is the question of mana and reconnecting with it or reclaiming it, is that something that you have experienced yourself? Like, do you have a personal connection to that?
Well, actually, the co-writer, James Pratt, he's from New Zealand. And when we were writing the script and kind of fleshing out the story, he brought up the idea behind mana. And I guess, yeah, because it was always a story about Ray trying to find his manhood and his identity. But then James brought this mana idea to it, which was like the perfect fit for the story and Ray's journey. So I guess I learnt about mana through the process of making the film. Yeah. And we were lucky to have a lot of, like John Tui is of a Tongan background. So we were able to, once the film had been cast, and John was obviously a part of it from the beginning. So he was kind of a part of it early on before we started writing. So we kind of, I guess, had his input as well about his ideas of mana, and yeah, we're able to shape kind of Ray's journey around that idea.
The film is really funny as well. How do you approach the comedy in the film? Is it something that you work on amongst your actors and rehearsals? Is it something that's heavily scripted, or is it more than that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, there was so much humor in the script. Like, I think, like, the answer is like a little from column A and a little from column B. Like, the script was funny. Like, it really was funny on the page. And Luke and the other writers did such a brilliant job of, there was some really funny dialogue in there already. So I think the thing that paid off most is, and like kudos to Luke and Erin for giving us this opportunity, was that we had rehearsals with every single actor, and we literally rehearsed every single scene. And that in that space, we sort of, we got to run the lines as they were on the page, but then we also got to play, and then the actors kind of built on that. So by the time we got to set, it was sort of a combination of the funny that was on the page and also the cast, because these guys cast such brilliant comic actors that everybody just brought so much creativity to it that, yeah, we kind of got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think casting was a
huge part of it. And I think, yeah, like you said, in rehearsals, like everyone starts bonding, and then different things start coming out and jokes, and as everyone gets more comfortable with one another, it was really fun. It was a fun process, and I think that definitely added to the humor in the film.
In regards to that fantastic slow-mo football scene, is there a lot of work that goes into the choreography of a scene like that? Because it just seems to be so perfectly timed, and the great payoff at the end is very funny. So can you talk a bit about the process of that?
Yeah. Oh, well, look, I mean, we definitely had our moments. Not all of the takes were that brilliant, I promise you. But look, I mean, again, I think it comes down to rehearsal. And I think so many people underestimate the value of rehearsal, especially on an indie film where you're going to be so crunched for time. So that was actually something we played with in rehearsals in a little scout hall in Geelong, or maybe it was like a little church hall in Geelong. And yeah, absolutely. So we ran through it a couple of times, and with our stunt coordinator actually in rehearsals as well. But by the time, again, like I guess that allowed us, by the time we got to set, we could just play. And the character, like Anika, unfortunately it was in slow-mo. I wish we had have run sound, because what she's actually screaming the whole way down that run is hilarious. So yeah, look, I mean, I guess it was that same combo of, it was choreographed to a degree, in rehearsal, so that when we got onto set, we could just play.
Luke, a lot of your work focuses on encouraging children to follow their dreams and really chase their dreams. Is that something, were you encouraged as a child to chase your dreams?
I think so, yeah. I think working in a creative industry, I've always had a drive just to give it a go, and just to, like, I think having that dream and just going for it and continuing to go for it. I think a lot of the reason, why we're here today and why we have a finished film is because Erin and I believed in an idea, and then brought on an amazing team like Jo and who all believed in the script, and the cast especially. They just, everyone was really excited about the idea and wanted to see it finished and done, and be able to celebrate the film.
And it's not just kids. Like, I mean, Luke and Erin created a family, and it was sort of that from the start. Like, it was this ongoing joke where it was like Luke and Erin were mum and dad, but it really was that on set. Like, everybody was handpicked, and obviously everybody brought so much talent to it, but everybody was also handpicked because of their temperament and sort of their collaborative nature. And so it was just a big family with these guys creating this safe space to have fun.
Erin, you're really fantastic as the poor hapless and HR person.
She's got a tough job.
It's an interesting take on that kind of casual nature of racism and sexism in the workplace. Can you talk a bit more about what you were trying to achieve with that? Because I think it's a common thing that is still very prevalent now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting now when our film's coming out, the climate that we're currently in the world. And I guess we've highlighted a lot of issues within our film without maybe intentionally, we didn't realize it was going to come out at this time. So, I guess my character is Steph. She just gets put in these situations where she's like, okay, I don't think this is right, but I don't know what to say. And I think, part of us has all worked with someone similar to Rodney, the boss, or maybe who overstepped the mark with something that they say, and it just becomes a really uncomfortable situation. And it's kind of interesting, there is a scene in there where there's this mediation, and it's funny when we were told about this, the asking where Ray's from, we laugh because Luke gets asked that a lot. And so we were like, this is so good. We've got to put this in here because it's something that we get asked a lot. And also being Luke's wife, I get asked a lot, where is Luke from? And I'm like, does it really matter? I think that scene kind of highlights that in there, and Steph's just doing her best that she can. You've got older people in the office, you've got some oddballs in there, and you've got Steph who's just trying her best to do what she can. But I think the humor plays out because I think we can all relate to the situations that everyone's been in. And that's why it's so funny in a sort of dark humor kind of a way.
The two leads in the film have really great chemistry. And I'm just wondering how much of that is worked out in the casting stage and how much of that develops through rehearsal? Is it an instant kind of thing where you go, oh, these two are going to be great on screen together? Or is it something that develops over time?
When we did the short film, Ray, we just kind of contacted John about playing Wade, and he likes to tell the story about how, you know, he got this message from these two people from Geelong, because he's in New Zealand, so he really wanted to do comedy. I think he was in a place in his career where he really just wanted to have some fun and do comedy. So he went out on a bit of a whim and flew over to Little Geelong and took the role. And I think once he kind of jumped in to Ray, like the three of us really created quite a great friendship with John. So I think once we got to Paper Champions, we had known John for a while and we had stayed in contact with John. And so, yeah, Ray and Wade, personally, like myself and John, we both do have quite a tight relationship, and which made it easy for us to play on set a lot. Yeah.
And how did Gary Sweet become involved in the project?
There was a few people we wanted, and we used Macintosh casting, Mel from Macintosh casting. She was amazing, and she sent the script out when we were casting for Terry, and it came across Gary Sweet's desk, and then he called and said that he loved the script and wanted to come and have a chat. So we had a chat with him, and he was really keen, and we just felt really flattered because we were like, oh my goodness, Gary Sweet wants to be a part of this. And so it was awesome, and just such an added bonus to the cast as well. And he was really, really lovely to work with and humble as well. And I don't know, I think we feel super blessed to have someone, I guess, of his caliber to want to come and work on a little indie film in Geelong and go out of his way to do that. But yeah, he became a part of the family as much as anybody else, and we're just really grateful for him to have been a part of it.
And we got so lucky with cast. Like it was such a mixed bag of like so many casts had never sort of stepped on a film set before, and then, you know, all the way up to somebody like Gary Sweet and John Toohey and Genevieve Morris, and you know, just their generosity, both in rehearsals and on set. Like, again, I think it comes down to that family atmosphere, but they were just so supportive and brilliant, like not only of myself, but just all the cast. And I think they just elevated everybody. And it was amazing that Gary was so willing to be in his knickers so much of the time.
In the middle of winter in Victoria.
In Geelong in winter, yeah.
And he gives a great performance and that really great gravelly voice that he's got. But it's quite sweet, the blooper roll at the end where he's very much a part of that too. That's very sweet.
And that's where like just that generosity, like I remember that night and I think we were, you know, edging into overtime and, you know, I was working with him to get this take and it just wasn't landing. And, you know, for Gary having, you know, 5 or 6 times the experience that I do in terms of decades, and, you know, him just persisting and me asking for another, and we just trying all the angles, and, you know, he just has such a collaborative approach and he's willing to do what it takes to get it done, which is pretty amazing.
The soundtrack I wanted to touch on because it's so endlessly upbeat and it really, you know, it drives the tone of the film a lot. I'm wondering, and I really love the whole 80s kind of, you know, rom-com, sports montage vibe of a lot of it. Is that something that you had a clear vision of from the outset? Or like what were your thoughts on the soundtrack going into the film?
I think from day dot, we drew a lot of inspiration from some films that we loved in the past. Like, you know, you've got Napoleon Dynamite, and then there's Hunt for the Wilder People, and there's all these, what's the one with the other one? Lars and the Real Girl. It's like that idea of these soundtracks, but they just elevate each scene so much more. And even going through the whole music process was so interesting. And how many options there are. So many options. So to bring it all together, and we worked with a really great team. And yeah, it worked really well, but I guess that was our main inspiration from there. But yeah, we all collaborated on that, and yeah, but it was a long process, but we got there in the end.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, I think, you know, in the script, in that first dancing scene, Electric Blue was written into the script. So, you know, it had that sense and that tone about it from the beginning, and we danced, you know, almost every day to Electric Blue on set. So, you know, that was really put in place by the writing team. And so then, like Erin said, like by the time we got to post, it was a really great collaboration because I'd never had the opportunity to work with a music supervisor, I think she was, or music, what was Emily?
Yeah, music supervisor.
Yeah. And she was so brilliant, just sort of bridging that gap with James. And, you know, we found so much that we could use from sort of archive as well as James's beautiful score. And yeah, she just presented these amazing options that I think none of us thought was possible from library music, but it was such a brilliant fit. And from the beginning, I know we all had a big creative chat about like the time and place of the film. And we, you know, kind of had this big thought about, you know, from design to costume and everything in between, that it wasn't sort of quite 80s, quite 90s, quite 2000s, but it was like a little bit of each. And so we hope to kind of achieve that through the music as well.
You mentioned listening to things on set. Did you have a soundtrack that was going on set that kind of kept you all in the moment, in the vibe of the film?
Just like Blue on loop.
Every time I'm walking somewhere in the supermarket and that comes on, I'm like, oh, Paper Champions. It's like, it's the song.
And we'll get messages from our crew randomly who are on set or in the supermarket, and they hear Electric Blue and it makes them think of Paper Champions. So yeah, that was definitely the theme song for the shoot.
Yeah, the Facebook, like Paper Champions family Facebook feed is basically just like videos of random people singing to that song.
I think it's really interesting that there's no real kind of key moment for Ray where it's like everything's great now and he's reconnected with his mana, and it kind of suggests that that's an ongoing thing and something that he's going to have to do, you know, for the rest of his life. Is that something that you were conscious about? I mean, is that how you see it as well, or what do you take from that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and that's really awesome to hear that works and that resonated, because absolutely, like, that was kind of the first conversation Luke, Erin, and I had, was about that theme of mana and manhood, and sort of that idea that like potentially the modern man is sort of like lost in the wilderness of figuring out, you know, how you be a man and what that looks like, and does that even look like a set thing, and you know, what is that and how do you become that? So yeah, like I love that is sort of the message, that really he goes in search of who he is as a man, and he tries on all these different hats, like the football hat and the wrestling hat, and he tries to take on, you know, what Terry is as a man and what he represents, and kind of comes full circle to realize that like he is enough, and like the hat that he's wearing is plenty, you know, and that, so I guess, yeah, it's going to be an ongoing journey for him, but he's fine, like just where he is.
The moment where we end with Ray and Wade in the ambulance after, you know, Ray's just been destroyed by the mountain. It's still, and you know, there's that moment of where Ray smiles because, you know, he's realized that, you know, he was able to get the girl without kind of, I guess, winning the fight and changing who he is. And that's, you know, Wade, we're left with Wade being really proud of him as well for finding his mana.
And I guess a big part of that too is like Ray stepped into the ring, like he stepped up, and it didn't matter whether or not he came out worse off, but he did it anyway. I think that's the idea too. It's like something's going to scare you, and it might be a bit scary, and you might be facing the mountain, but it's like if you just jump in and give it a go, at least you can say you did it. And I think, yeah, that idea that Jo was saying, I guess at the end he is enough. He realizes, you know, I gave it a red hot go, and I'm on this journey now to discover who I am.
And part of what, like, I love, like, and like a big shout out to Rudy, who was our amazing DP. You know, we spent a lot of time kind of thinking about ways we can kind of track that journey with the style of the film, and going from sort of like rigid, you know, locked off to really handheld, especially when you get into that ring. But the thing that I love most is like the opening shot of Ray is pretty much the same frame as the closing shot of Ray. And, you know, in the front end, he's perfectly groomed and lovely, but like miserable. And in the final frame, he's like beaten to a pulp, but he's deliriously happy, you know? So it's like, it literally, the framing takes him full circle. And like Erin said, he got in the ring and he failed epically at like football and wrestling and love almost, and like everything, you know, but like he's getting one step closer to figuring who he is, you know, not as a man or like whatever that definition is, but just who Ray is.
To Luke and Erin, was it really, I mean, I love the Geelong setting. I love the, you know, out by the Geelong club. Was it really important for you that the film is set in Geelong?
I mean, it was huge for us. I mean, coming from Geelong and being in this industry, there isn't so many opportunities as there are in Melbourne. And so a lot of the time we're traveling there, and we wanted to just show that, you know, there is opportunity here and you can create that for yourself and for other people. and opened the doors in so many different aspects. A huge thing for us, I guess, was making sure that we showed Geelong, but if you're from Geelong, you'll notice all the places, but if you're not, it's also not like a tourism ad kind of a thing. So it's like there's these little Easter eggs throughout the whole film, you know, Ray picking up a sandwich in the milk bar, and there's the Geelong Cats AFL club painting behind him on the wall, like little bits and pieces like that. And even, you know, getting feedback from the trailer and people seeing the Wampons Hall, they're like, oh, I went to a 21st there, or I went to an engagement party there. And the idea that people from our town can watch it and be proud of the fact that, you know, there's a feature film that features the whole town. And it was really important to us as well because of, you know, the people that have invested into this film are all from Geelong, and saw that as a really good opportunity. So to be able to have it produced and written and funded and shot here was huge and a massive effort. But I guess we're so proud of our community that supported us, and you know, the council here, the local council, were amazing too. So we were very lucky, and I guess it's kind of a fresh thing here. So I guess it's the first step in opening up some more doors down here to be able to show that if you really do, like we're talking before, have a dream and you want to do something, that you can really do it with some elbow grease and hard work. So yeah, but we're very proud that it's all shot in our hometown here.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful town. Like, and I think really like Luke and Erin are like the poster children, and like Pepper Thames is like the poster child for like regional filmmaking. You know, like everybody thinks you've got to be in that big smoke, and you really don't. Like, these guys literally got like the keys to the city, you know, by all of their networking with the council and family and friends. And you know, we had, you know, Geelong at our fingertips, you know, and it was so beautiful to sort of make it a postcard to Geelong. But at the same time, it kind of could be anywhere. Like, you know, you don't just have to be in a big city to make it feel like it's sort of timely and universal.
I think it really speaks to your tenacity that you've managed to get it to screen in, you know, I mean, 3 years is not really that long when you think about making a feature film. So I think that's a huge congratulations.
I guess that's why we're so blessed to have MIF online this year as well, is that opens up more opportunities for people to be able to view it from home, and to be able to see it. And yeah, we are hoping for a theatrical release, but I guess we all have to play by ear at the moment and see what happens.
Well, we're really grateful to have you on board, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.